Hi, my name is Melanie Savelli, and I'm here today to teach you how to incorporate invisible and visible illnesses into your basic communication course. I myself suffer from various chronic illnesses, from chronic regional pain syndrome, CRPS, postural orthostatic tachycardia, POTS, and celiac disease, so a gluten allergy. And I really enjoy bringing it into the classroom and find it's a really amazing way to connect the material uniquely to different individuals. So what I usually do is bring it up around the concept of perception and how just because someone looks a certain way or you think of somebody in a certain way doesn't mean that that's how they actually are. And obviously that's kind of the foundation of perception and how things are colored by your experiences and how you get your unique lens from your personal experiences and education and knowledge. And then I share my experience. I have them first look at me and say, okay, so what do you know about me? And hopefully at that point, they haven't seen any signs of my illness yet. And then I break down specifically how my different illnesses impact me and how they're going to possibly see it visually in the classroom and identify the fact that just because they perceive me in a certain way doesn't mean that that's the way my actual life is. And I go on to talk about spoon theory, and that's the crux of this particular video, is to teach you how to incorporate spoon theory into the classroom. So spoon theory was devised by Christine Massarandino as a way to explain her chronic illness to the loved ones in her life. Spoons are essentially your currency of energy and effort. And people with chronic illnesses measure their spoons constantly. It's a daily thing that you have to measure your spoons. How many spoons is it going to take to shower? How many spoons is it going to take to fold the laundry or read a book or go to work? And you have to calculate how many spoons each activity takes, because if you run out of spoons, that's it, you're done. You are either physically and or mentally exhausted. You get a mental fog, a fatigue that you can't think straight, you can't think clearly. Have you ever been in those times where you reread the sentence over and over and over again? Well, that's what that is. And it's this physical feeling where it doesn't matter how badly you want to do something, you can't do it. And so I bring up spoon theory and think about and have students perceive what they think are high spoon costs for them, and have them think about what is challenging for them and see that just because it's hard for them doesn't mean it's hard for others, and vice versa. So something as simple as picking a pencil off the ground. Most of my students can do that easily, but for me, it's extremely challenging. And I go on and I talk about that. And what I've done is I've devised a website specifically for gathering information for educators to teach about spoon theory and as a resource for people with chronic illnesses. So that's what I'd like to share with you now. This is spooncentral.com. I created this to teach people more about spoon theory and to help in educating others about their chronic illnesses. So what I've done is I've created specific activities and posted them to spooncentral.com. And the one I'd like to share with you today is this specific game that I created. So here are the theories that you can incorporate into, or spoon theory into. And here are different activities and games that you can play in the classroom. And you'll see I have ages, but these can certainly be modified for any age. But the one that's excellent for the classroom that's virtual is this particular game. It's a game that takes you through, and you have to see how many types of decisions you can make and how many steps you can take before you run out of spoons. And hopefully you don't run out. For those of you who need a little more background on spoon theory, you can go right to the homepage and it explains it directly to you. I found that with my students, they are struggling a little more with after the fact. I always have students who identify and say, oh, thank you for sharing. I feel so seen. I myself have XYZ. And it's just such a great way to connect to these students and bond with them. But I wanted to do more. I wanted to make sure that they felt known and seen and follow up with them in a different way. So what I do is I created a Twitter account specifically for Spoon Central, and it's a community of people who can share their concepts and ideas and describe ways in which their chronic illnesses are hurting, helping, ways that they can support each other, different ideas that they've come up with for treatment plans or different research in the area. And it's a way that I can focus the students after the fact. But the reason I really like this entire activity is because it changes people's perceptions of what an illness looks like. And it makes people think more consciously when they're reading nonverbal cues about somebody, because I myself look normal, whatever that looks like. And on days that I'm not having a flare up, or the days where my illnesses are invisible, people don't realize the daily struggles that I go through. And that's the same that can be said about every student in the classroom is we don't know what they're going through. We don't know what their story is. We don't know what barriers they had to overcome even to get to class that day. And it really helps people challenge their original ways of thinking and ways of prejudging others. So I highly recommend that you incorporate spoon theory into your communication course. It's going to change your life and their lives.